Hey everybody, it's me, BaRKy, if you don't know by now. And today I kind of have like a controversial topic to speak about, which has kind of been affecting my life negatively for the last 2 years, I'd say. Not overly so, but like obviously enough that I would talk about it now. But still, enough that like every time South Africa gets brought up, I have to hear about the latest and greatest news from people who, I consider like extremists and racist about how the country's doing it and shit like that. Now, this isn't going to be a rant video towards SJWs or anything stupid like that. I don't actually give a fuck about shit that like just doesn't affect me, okay? And SJWs definitely don't generally. But this is something that's so frustrating that it's actually just become sort of like a running joke for me and my friends. It's just so frustrating. I was at like a braai last week. Alright, you guys don't know what braai is. It's a barbecue. Barbecue. I was at a barbecue last week with some family and friends when somebody brought up the topic of politics. I don't know who it was, and unfortunately, a friend of the family was there, like a friend of my sister's, and we got into like a pretty heated discussion, which went something along these lines. It kind of went something like this: it would be different if it were a white person saying something rude to a black person, which is racist. And I said, wait, what? What difference does it make what color their skin is? We're not arguing, by the way, so don't think that. And I said, what difference does it make what color their skin is? If I'm a black person saying all white people are stupid, that's still racist, though. And then she like looks around at my sister and her friend, and she's like, no, it's not. And I say, yes, it is. If somebody says a race is stupid based on their race, then it's racist. After a few minutes, she like finally stops laughing, and she's like, "No, it's not. Black people can't be racist." And I was pretty shocked at that. I wasn't really sure like what to say next. I thought that was a joke. I don't know. I thought she was joking at first. But it was more like, "Oh my god, you cannot be serious. This is insane." So then I said, "It doesn't matter what race you are. Racism is discriminating another person based on the idea that their race makes them worth less than you." So then she said, that's not what racism actually means. Racism is when white people belittle another race who was subjugated by them. And I said to her, like, you can't be serious. And this is for real. I'm not even the kind of person to care about this stuff, and I understand what white people did. Everybody here does too. We're all South African. This shit is in our face constantly. But even I know the definition of racism, and it has nothing to do with oppression or subjugation. Yeah, it's led to that stuff, but look at the dictionary before making up meanings for words. Like, this is just crazy. And just to give you guys an idea of the setting, we're all at one big table. So there's quite a few of us, probably 8 or 9 at this table. So then she said, you're not going to believe a dictionary meaning made up by some old fat white misogynist. That's not what racism really means, and I don't accept their dictionary. So I said, you're literally speaking the language that you're talking about. With that logic, I could change any word I wanted to, anything I wanted. Just use some different terms. You don't need to use the word racist and racism. You're going to confuse people who use the real meaning of the word, because that's true. She said she doesn't accept the definition of racism, but if you actually believe like that, then you kind of have to not accept the meaning of any word. Like, you can just kind of change meanings of words. And then she said, well, it's still racist. Okay. Now, I was just, at that point, I was just like, fuck it, I'm actually done. This woman is kind of crazy. Because I thought she was. I mean, like, I honestly thought she was crazy. Because at first, I thought she was joking. Then she wasn't joking. I was just like, oh my god, this is way too much, actually. It's just too fucking much. So I went back inside. So I got up from the table and I went back inside to the kitchen area. And my cousin Sarah came down the stairs at that moment. And she asked me what was going on. So I just filled her in. To which she didn't believe me. Like, she didn't think it was true, and she wanted to go find out what this friend and my sister, who agreed with like everything the friend said. My sister was very much into this too. She wanted to see what they had been saying because she didn't believe it. So I was just like, ooh. So fair enough. I go back outside with her so she can ask her questions after getting some meat. The conversation went pretty similar to how mine went, but at the end, Sarah said, "That's like me saying that women can't be sexist." And just emphasis on the woman cannot be sexist part. The friend just looks back at her. Sarah asks if she actually believes that, and she says, no, women cannot be sexist. They've never been oppressed before. So, women can't be sexist because men have not been oppressed, if that makes sense. Which, I don't know. I'm not even gonna waste time on that. So this is where it kind of gets irritating. This is like where we started going, folks. Like, most infuriating fucking thing I've seen in so long was this conversation. Easily the stupidest thing I've heard in the last year. Why? Because everyone at that table is South African. And I know that you probably come from a country which has race relations in some way because it is a very common thing. But if you don't know about South Africa, we had that apartheid thing, and apartheid was pretty fucking terrible. And yeah, nobody really understands bad relations like South Africans do, because apartheid just ended recently. And if you don't know about it, it was a set of laws actually that pretty much put black people under white people in every single sense of the word. Yeah, and we're shoved this in our face every year, which I think is not a bad thing. History shouldn't repeat itself, but I'm just trying to give you like the background. We understand apartheid very well. Everyone learns about it. Yeah. So to undo the effects of apartheid, we have something in South Africa called the BEE, which is the Black Economic Empowerment. I think it might be something else. What does it mean? Well, it means that based on certain things, black people will get things easier than white people, such as unemployment benefits, easier access to schooling and university, and some other things, which I'm not actually sure about. It's easier for black people to live than white people, just because of the color of their skin. So it's like economic upbringing. It's not a bad thing though. Like I'll get to that later though. Now, what's the problem with BEE? Well, I went to this place called Weinberg Boys High School. And at my school, there was about 40% white people, I'd say, 20% mixed race or Asian, 40% black people. So that was kind of it. It might have been those values might be different, but I'm saying that they weren't more black people than white people or anything like that. It was pretty balanced. So are all of those black people deserving of economic load shedding? No, definitely not. A lot of people I knew came from a background similar to mine, where they were never short of money or food. Their parents were reasonably wealthy, and affluence, opulence is just something they enjoyed. So do those people still deserve the benefits of BE? Well, most would say no. However, most black people in the country aren't as lucky as those few, while most white people are due to how the country played itself out. So do I agree with it in general? Yes, I think BE is a good thing. But does that mean that I accept racism and racist outlooks because people are luckier than me? No, I don't. So the idea of one race being better than another is such a dumb thing in my brain these days that I have to say I was really shocked. And if my other cousins are around or anything, they were also like, "What the fuck, dude?" I was genuinely shocked. I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's crazy." So yeah, like I understand that race does exist, and yes, genders also exist. I know that. And yes, there will be difference based on your gender and race. Women are not the same as men. But does that mean that their value outweighs yours solely based on one of those? No, it definitely fucking doesn't. It definitely does not. Yes, I understand that women in general are genetically weaker than men on average. I understand that there's probably some Russian Bertha who would like mountain pile me or something. I understand that, but I'm saying in general, dude, I'm actually gonna cut. But we're all people, so this kind of thinking is just gonna get us nowhere. Like, yeah. Anyways, just fucking grinds my gears. Anyway, so Sarah starts asking more questions. So then Sarah says, "What about in a court of law?" And the friend says, "What about it?" To which I interject and I say, "Let's take two examples. Example 1, a black man shoots a white man. Example 2, a white man shoots a black man. No other differences at all. No other motivations. Economic upbringings are the same. Everything is the same. Imagine in a world where race does not exist, except for in this moment. Just a completely random shooting. Who deserves a worse sentencing?" And then the friend says, "Obviously the white man," after looking around as if it's the most obvious answer ever, and I'm such a fucking idiot for not getting it. Sorry, it's crazy to me. You can call me a misogynist white male, or like whatever you want. But this right here is straight up racism. Like it is. There's no such thing as reverse racism. There's no such thing as one race being unable to be racist, and most definitely not in a court of law. I can understand there can be motivations behind race and stuff like that. I understand that fully. That wasn't the question I gave her though. But I understand that. I understand in Australia there are several laws against Aboriginals to help them out in a court of law. Perfectly fine, dude. Aboriginals in Australia, perfectly fine. Black people in South Africa, perfectly fine. I understand that fully, and I agree with it. But this right here, that's racism. But yeah, I'm really not trying to play the victim because I'm so far removed from being a victim. That thought has never occurred to me. The problem is that we really need to stop sheltering stupidity, because I am all for economic rehabilitation for races who deserve it, and black people here in South Africa do, just like in a lot of other countries where an apartheid has been in effect, similarly. I'd appreciate a better system that doesn't involve race, obviously, in a perfect world. Maybe like economic standing, but I'm perfectly okay with certain races being helped out economically. But that never excuses murder. Never. Like, I don't even know how people can think that. You didn't kill a black person or a white person. You didn't kill either of them. You killed a person. And people need to stop thinking like that, because it's really not doing us any favors. We need to be the ones who actually start spreading better ways of thinking. You know? And I know the women can't be sexist thing is just really dumb. I'm not really gonna waste my time on it, but yeah. I think that's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Like, women can't be sexist. They can just say, all men are stupid. That's a woman being sexist. Anyways, I hope you all have a nice day. I know this is one of those videos. It really wasn't trying to come across as a rant video, because I don't want to rant about SJWs. But this is the kind of thing that really fucking angers me. So if you're from a country, I know like 95% of you from the US, but if any of you have some kind of story or race relation that you want to talk about, feel free to leave it in the comments. This is just one of those stories that I just think is kind of crazy. So I hope you all have an awesome day. I'm gonna go beat up my wife. So I'll check you all later.